Hi crafters and welcome. So when you are watching this, it will be Sunday, January 11th. And today we are going to work with vellum. Now I'm only going to show you 3 different things to do with the vellum. There's lots of things you can do with vellum. At its simplest, you can take vellum and stamp on it and color on the back side. Now I use StazOn. You know what? Let me get my StazOn cleaner. Let me run over here really quick. Sorry. Okay. StazOn is meant to be stamped on like wood, cork, glass. Because of the properties of it, you should have some sort of cleaner. StazOn cleaner. I happen to have the Stampin' Up brand that I bought. I don't think it might be out there still. I don't know. One thing about StazOn is I did buy the re-inkers, because once you have a StazOn pad, you probably never have to buy one ever again. All right, I'm just inking this up. Make sure you put that cover back on. That helps maintain the life of your pad. Put this back in here. And we're going to stamp on here. So I'm going to push it down and just hold on to it for a little bit. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. You really don't want it to spread out too much, but I am making sure that it's all hitting contact with the vellum. So there you have your item. Let me go ahead really quick, get some of this StazOn cleaner on there. Also, it's going to give that a few seconds to dry on the vellum. All right, so let's go here. Let me grab out my, oh, I'm so sorry. I hit my camera. Let me run over to my computer really quick and make sure we're still in frame. On my tablet, it shows we're still in frame. But my tablet also shows more area than what's really recording. So that was my bad. So sorry. Let me just put this back up here and let me run over here real quick just to make sure we're still in frame. Okay, we look good. All right. All right, so StazOn cleaner, we got it ready. Now, when you go to color on this, you want to color on the opposite side, okay? So that's why you give it just a little bit to dry on this side. Thinking it's pretty dry, you're going to go to the opposite side to color. You don't, excuse me, you don't want to smear that StazOn. Because it's on vellum, even though it's dry, I would say it's never completely dry. So I'm coloring on the back side of this. I'm going to use one of these to do some of these tree branches. And then the other thing I do really quick is I will put just a little tiny dot in the left-hand corner. The reason I do that is, yes, here it's on the right-hand corner. When I flip it over, it'll be in the left-hand corner. And then I know that my StazOn's on the top and my color is on the bottom. So see how that colors, it comes through the vellum. Here's the side we colored on. Just as pretty. But something about when you flip that vellum over, it really just picks up all that detail. So then you would go ahead, let me grab out a white piece of cardstock. You would then go ahead and use this on your card. And see how when it goes against that white, it really picks it up good. Now if we go on the back side, it still looks okay. But something about turning that over and having that StazOn on top really just brings out all the detail and all the color. All right, so that's the first thing you can do with vellum. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to grab a sheet of vellum. I'm going to grab one of the bigger pieces I have cut here. And we're going to grab an embossing folder. Okay. When you use vellum in an embossing folder, you're going to get, wherever the folder hits, it's going to turn white. So let me grab my stamping cut and emboss machine. This is a 3D folder, so I have just my base, my folder, and my gray pad. Now it doesn't feel like there's any pressure on it going through, and that's okay. Vellum is very fragile. If you make it too tight, you're going to rip your vellum. But you can hear it. Here, I'll be quiet. You hear how that was stuck to the folder itself? And now look at that. See how when it goes through that folder, whatever gets pushed up becomes white. Let me move this back over on my side counter, which is now a little further than it was before, as I rearrange my office. And let's put that again. So I have that white card, but let me grab out a brown card, just so you can see a little bit of the difference. So here's that vellum against the brown card. See how that white is coming through? And here's your white on white, which doesn't show up as much. You kind of need it actually to go on a vanilla or a beige or a color. But look at that. Again, you could color under the underside, like here's where the flowers are. You've got to be careful though, because remember, vellum is a little more fragile than cardstock. So if you push too hard, you possibly could push through the vellum. And I'm just going to do a couple little ones here. Here's a couple over here. Again, this is on the back side of the vellum, not on the side that was pushed up and turned white. So let me show you what that looks like. So now you have that white and you have that color coming through. I, 9 times out of 10, just leave the vellum as the white itself. I usually don't color when I run it through on an embossing folder. So that's using your embossing folders with vellum. Put that over here in my done pile. Put that back in. Last one is messy. All right, so I have a cardboard box. I have an old chamois towel. I'm going to use a smaller piece. And you're going to do your blends again. Let's go ahead. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways you can do this. So you can scribble in a row. Well, there's lots of ways to do this, but the one I'm showing you first, it's how you apply your liquid for the results you want to get. So let's do that. Let's do that. And let's come back down to this pink. Really, I think it's mango. Maybe it's petunia pop. Let me look here, because now I'm wondering. Oh, melon mambo. Of course. Can I? Here we go. There we go. Light melon mambo. All right. So these are ink markers. Oh, you can already see some of it starting. I must have had some on there. This is alcohol. Spray on a fine mist of alcohol, and it's going to start to break up, bubble. And if you move it, if there's any alcohol on there, it will start running. See how it's running? It's also curling up, so it's going to run into one another. You really want this to dry for a good hour or so before you touch it. Let me move this one over to the side. We'll let that one dry. Sorry. Let me bring over another chamois. You can also take your vellum. You can do little different areas, not solid, like this. Let's get a few more colors in there. I usually don't like coloring all of the vellum. I'll cover a lot of it, but not all of it. Put some color in there. And let's go through with that Melon Mambo. Oh, hang on, I think my vellum just fell on my carpet. Now I have white carpet in my craft room, so that would not be good. All right, crisis averted. All right, on this, we are going to, where did it go? Here it is. On this, we're going to do an ink dropper. All right, so I have my container of alcohol. I'm gonna get some alcohol in here. I'm gonna make little drops. Kind of just a little bit all over the place. All right, that's enough. If you put too much alcohol on, they'll all just eventually run together and you'll have just one great big brown blob. Let me put this back over here, dropper over there. So again, here's what it's starting to look like. You're going to let it dry. Again, let me go over to my counter over here, put that so it can dry. Let me show you some examples of ones I've already done. Now this is, you can tell, if you touch it, you could tell this is kind of like the side that we dropped the alcohol on. So that looks pretty nice, right? But watch the magic. When you turn it over upside down, look how that just comes through. I mean, it's a gorgeous background technique. Here you see I didn't get a lot there. Let's go ahead. Let me see. That's the side with the marker. Here's the opposite side. Look at that beautiful background. Here's another one. This, I can tell because the way it curls, because it usually curls up like this. So that means this is the marker side. This is the opposite side. I mean, just, no, I think maybe I put this one in a book. I usually put these in an old puzzle book overnight, so they will flatten out a little bit. Here's one that I did, because I do all the little strips, of course, too. So that's the opposite side. Here's one. This one to me was really the best. This really showed. So here's the side that I dropped everything on. Flip it over and look. It is such, put my hand up there, see if that'll help. It's just such a gorgeous background. Let's see. There we go. It used to have that little movement and the way they interact with each other, the way they just kind of pool. And look at that. It looks almost like marble. And the thing is, when you push it down, it gets darker. See up here, it looks pretty light, but once you adhere it down, it's going to be a little bit of a darker look. I mean, just absolutely fun and gorgeous. Let me see if sometimes you get enough drying on it where you can look at it. Here's the one we just did. So you can see I didn't get a lot of good spritzing in there. See on the back side, there's a little there, nothing there. That's all my marker. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to spritz it again. And now you can see it's starting to speckle and break down for that look. All right, I'm going to leave it on my glass mat. Sometimes on the glass mat, it actually flattens out better. Here's this other one we just did. You can see, you can tell this is the upside. But I mean, look at that, it's still wet. So if I put it against the paper, but I mean, just look at that. Look at that beautiful background. I could drop some more drops over there, but more than likely I'm going to cut this down as a background, so I really don't worry too much about that. But like I said, it wasn't completely dry. So, oh shoot, I turned it on the wrong way. Oh no, I have alcohol down here from just spraying. All right, well, there's no marker on that side, so I guess it doesn't really matter. If I wanted to, my tip of my dropper still has a little moisture in it, so I can go ahead. See how that's breaking up now already and starting to vein out. So there you go. I had a little bit more in there. So just by doing that, you can see now it's starting to break up. Oops. Down there too. All right. So there you have it, guys. What do you think of those 3 techniques to use with your vellum? Oh, get my paper towel over here. Let me do a little bit of a dab too. Get on the back side. So this will eventually flatten out. And I will probably then go ahead and make some backgrounds with this. I have a bunch in my drawer. I'm not sure which drawer it is. Let's see. Let me just, give me a second. Oh, I don't. It looks like I used them all up. I only have the other techniques in there. So anyway, go ahead and give this a try. This is the old vellum that Stampin' Up! Used to carry, so it's pretty, because they say that it's cardstock weight, but it's pretty thin. I mean, it's not, it's easy to see here. If I just pick one up, I mean, it's not paper thin. It is cardstock weight, so it's a little heavier, but it's not, some of them you can get are really, when you bend them like this, they're almost crack. So, all right, I think that's it. So there you have it. 3 techniques using your vellum. Here's running it through the embossing folder. Here's stamping with StazOn and coloring on the back side so that color comes through. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Give me that thumbs up if you don't mind. I really would appreciate it if you gave me that thumbs up. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me get these videos out to more people who might like to learn some of these techniques. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Bye for now.